Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. I'm Rachel with my coffee, with books, but without rain, and that's okay. I did have plans this evening, however, they fell through, so I am recording some book episodes for you all. And today we are diving into a book called This Is Not a Game by Carrie Mullen. Now, I did receive a free copy of this book from the publisher. They reached out to me via email and asked if I wanted a copy. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I had already gotten an ebook on NetGalley, so I was planning on reading that. However, when they asked me if I wanted a physical copy, I was like, yes, please, because I will admit I love physical copies of books. So do want to give the publishing company and Carrie Mullen for a shout out for providing me a free copy, because I really do read those faster than I read ebooks and probably even audiobooks, just because having that physical form is I don't know, it's kind of a game changer for me. It is my favorite way to read books, but with ARCs, I don't always get the advanced hard copies or even paperbacks. So I'm always thankful if someone reaches out and asks if I want one. But let's dive into This Is Not a Game by Kelly Mullen. I had a really great time with this book, and honestly, it's because it's a locked room murder mystery, and it kind of is an intergenerational sort of thing. It's a granddaughter and her grandmother. There are kind of nods towards Agatha Christie, maybe Miss Marple. There's definitely some references to Poirot. So I had really a good time trying to unravel this mystery as I read through it. Not perfect, but as it's the author's first novel, from what I can tell, she did a really good job. So I would 100% pick up the next book and see how she progresses in her, I guess, exploration of her craft. I think I would love to see more and see if we are going to have a grandmother-granddaughter duo in the future, because it's actually a pretty fun dynamic. So, a locked room debut with a memorial intergenerational relationship and a gaming angle about a grandmother and a daughter who are snowed in at a lavish party at a mansion where the host has been murdered, and the unlikely sleuthing pair must draw on a unique skill set to navigate a dangerous game together. Widow Mimi lives on an idyllic Mackinac Island where cars are not allowed and a Gibson with three onions at witching hour is compulsory. Her granddaughter, Addie, is getting over the heartbreak of her fiancé Brian dumping her and cutting her out of a deal for a brilliantly successful video game, Murderscape. They invented together, with Addie doing most of the heavy lifting. When Mimi gets an invitation from a socialite, Jane Ireland, a 70-something narcissist who's having an affair with her son-in-law, to a charity auction, it is the perfect excuse to get Addie to join her for the weekend. What Mimi isn't telling Addie is that blackmail threat from Jane looms over the party's invitation. In case the scene wasn't already set for a turbulent weekend, a big storm rolls in, trapping everyone in the mansion, and then Jane's body is found. Soon, Mimi and Addie are caught in a dangerous game, relying on their skills. Mimi loves a crossword puzzle, and Addie's a brilliant game designer after all, to narrow down the suspects. When another body turns up, the sleuthing pair realize someone else is playing a deadly game and they might not survive the night. So, that is the summary from Goodreads. It does release on April 8th of 2025, and I do plan to release this episode on or right around, either one day before or one day after, to release my review for that book. I want to do service for the fact that they really did the work to get me a copy, and so I'm so very thankful for that. So I'm going to try to get it out on or the day before or the day after its due date. It is only about, I think, without the acknowledgement and kind of like the after parts at the end, I think it's about 306 pages from the end of the book, but not including those final additional pages. So that is kind of what that's the stats for you, I guess you could say. And I found these little postcards. I guess they're not postcards, they're bookmarks in my desk at work. And so I started making notes on it while I was reading it earlier today. And so one of them is we've got the trope of a severe storm trapped in. We've also got the locked room murder mystery because there is a point where someone locks them in, so they have to stay for some reason. So there is that. And then on page 56, there is the title reveal as well. It's like the last line of a chapter, which, I mean, it lets me know kind of, hey, you know what, we're going to get, it's not right off the bat, but it is pretty close to the beginning of setting that title reveal. And I do enjoy kind of figuring out like where the author is either deriving their title or kind of like where they put it into their book. So I like to make a note of that when I find it, I guess you can say, or whenever I run across it. So there is also the trope of no police available. And I did Google. Again, I made notes on the back as well. And Mackinac Island is a real place. So I had to Google it because it just sounded very quaint. And it does look as though no cars are really allowed in this little idyllic area. There are horse-drawn, I guess, taxis around town. And people seem to just know each other around the area. This auction, so to speak, that Mimi gets invited to is kind of a little bit of a ruse, as so to speak, and Mimi knows it for sure. And this is not a spoiler because it happens within, I want to say, like the first 25 pages of the book, is that Mimi receives an invitation to an auction at this lavish manor of Jane Ireland. Well, Jane has been, I guess, trying to collect Mimi within her circle for quite a while, and apparently Mimi has been kind of rebuffing those advances of being part of the Friends of Jane Club, the FOJ. I think that's also referenced in the book. But Mimi and Jane don't have a very good relationship. However, part of the invitation is that Jane tells her, this item is going to be up for auction. I know what you did. You have to buy it and pay for this item, or I will share your secret. And so, of course, at the beginning of the book, we have no idea what this secret is or what this has reference to, but Mimi seems pretty startled and is pretty determined now to go to this auction whether she wants to or not. So she calls, or she reaches out to Addie and gets her to come visit her on Mackinac Island. And so when I Googled it, Mackinac Island in real life is at the top of the Michigan Mitt. So if this is Michigan, because it looks like a mitten to me, that's how I was raised in school. It's at the top of Michigan. It's like a little island right here at the top. And if you know anything about Michigan, I think it's on this side of Michigan, might be on this side, is Chicago. It is across the lake. So it's not too far, but it is a plane ride away. And Addie has been living in Chicago. And she's been going through a breakup, which has gotten pretty nasty. Apparently, her and her previous fiance/boyfriend had created this game called Murderscape. Well, Addie was really the one who, it was kind of her brainchild. And even though Brian put in a little bit of thought, most of his ideas were fairly flat and non-dynamic and not really super engaging for the consumer. So Addie was really the one who had everything planned out and figured out. She's a very big fan of the classic noir murder mysteries, like I mentioned, Miss Marple and Poirot. So she's just a big fan of, I guess, crime solving, problem solving / sleuthing. And it seems as though, as we read the book as well, that she has kind of always had this penchant for puzzles. And so it just felt right for her. Now, even though she's kind of doing, I think, marketing slash ad marketing or something of that nature now, she really like prefers to be doing these puzzles or mystery kind of sleuthing things. So she joins her grandmother at this house party. She doesn't know anything about the blackmail. She only knows that her grandmother was invited, and there's several other people there as well. We do get a list of about, I want to say it's 8 individuals who are invited or at the party that are not the host and hostess. So I want to say it's 10 people to include Addie and Mimi, but the other 8, are not very well known to them. Like, one is a guy who seems to do what I would call screen printing. So, they call him Jim Towels. And then they have like the son-in-law who is also the boyfriend of Jane. Now, that's the funny thing, and I was just like, what in the world? So we do learn that apparently Jane, who seems to be in maybe her, let's just say 70s, and I'm looking in the book to see if I can just pull out, like, find the little list. There they are. The list of suspects can be found on page 68, just by the way. But Miss Jane Ireland, who is maybe in her 70s, has now been dating, or suspected to be dating, her son-in-law, who's married to her daughter, Alexandra. And that's just real creepy and weird in my personal thoughts, because he's technically still married to her daughter, but now has been seen out and about dating, more or less, Jane. And so Matthew, anyway, he's a real weirdo in my personal thought. I'm like, he must want direct access to any inheritance and not have to go through the daughter. I can't figure it out. There's also Jane's brother, Gus, who, even though something happened and he got fired from his hotel job at the Drake, he is now working more or less as Jane's chef brother. There is Jim Towels, like I said, of the print shop. And we have a couple of other individuals as well. So I won't give you all their names. You're welcome to read the book to find out who they are, but there are about 5 more other individuals as well who get wrapped up into this murder mystery. I thought it was actually well crafted based on some of the books that I have been reading lately that have been murder mysteries or kind of sleuthing whodunits. I actually probably was most engaged in this one from beginning to end. I think the characters, though not incredibly likable, were dynamic enough and interesting enough that I did want to know more. Mimi does come off as kind of abrasive, kind of aggressive, maybe aloof at times. Like, she's not fully invested in her, not I want to say fully invested in her granddaughter, but like they have a fairly strained relationship, and we do kind of figure out there is not animosity so much as maybe some histories of understanding that have gone awry. They've not really been on the same side with each other for like their entire life. Addie, on the other hand, again, another dynamic character, not always super likable, but much more likable, I would say, than Mimi. But she has this thing where even though Brian has broken up with her and we do learn he has kind of taken her game idea because she didn't draw up a contract with him stating their like ownership in this game, he takes it and sells the rights and he becomes a millionaire, leaving her completely out of the loop. And so she has she just can't get over this guy. Like, for most of this book, she is just like, no, I can't get over him. No, I still love him. And I'm like, oh dear. Oh, we're not doing that, are we? We're not having this whole like broken heart thing where we're still pining over this horrible ex. But we do tend to like pine and whatever over this horrible, horrible ex. And so, I mean, just really crummy, crummy dude. So, uh, I'm going to go ahead and kind of leave it there. I'm going to wrap it up right there. I think this was a fun book. I think, like I said, the dynamic was good. The setting was interesting. I did not know Mackinac Island was a real place, but I liked learning about it because I did. I like the way they described it. It sounded real. And when I looked at it, it is real. So that was cool. And then we also have the mansion that it happens in has like 72 rooms or something like that. And there's like a hidden speakeasy and all this sort of stuff. So it's this really incredible, elaborate place where I guess the access to the speakeasy is maybe in a bathroom, maybe when you turn the head of a bus, the wall opens, and that was cool. I really like those sorts of things. Secret passageways done well are very cool. But it is a cozy mystery. I would not say this is one of those thrilling, heart-stopping mysteries. And even though thriller is included in one of the genre for Goodreads, I don't find it to be a thriller. I think the genre would be sleuthing. Mystery is good. Cozy mystery is good. Fiction is good. Whodunit would be good. I think that's a genre that we should establish. Like I said, sleuthing would be good, or just sleuth. Because there's a lot of times I run across these types of books that they do put thriller or suspense. And I don't feel like it builds to those levels. There are a couple suspenseful moments, but I wouldn't find it to be a suspense book where we're on the edge of our seat, or we're running and hiding from someone, or, etc., etc. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you will like and subscribe if you have not already. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.